Lagging. I can't even tell if I'm actually streaming right now. Oh, I am. Hooray. So, yeah. Well, this is super last minute. I haven't even fucking posted the stupid ass link yet. I'm getting there. I swear to God, maybe somebody will watch this eventually. And then maybe some of the SNL team might join me and like provide some kind of structure to my just ridiculous fucking rant that I'm about to go on. But all right. So for those of you that don't know, actually, I don't think I've ever actually really talked about it much. I have, like, for a long time, been just a diehard Simpsons fan. Even when people are like, "Oh, only these seasons are good," I'm like, "Yeah, but these seasons still have merit. They're still fun to watch. You know, it's entertaining at least. Like, I find jokes that I laugh at. You know, typically people, and I do fall into the camp of like between the 3rd and 10th season. I think is like the best Simpsons shit ever to happen. Everything outside of there is obviously inferior, but and I'll be honest, I haven't kept up and like geez, show been going on. Like, hey, Michael's here. Michael, say hi to myself.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, I figured I'd let you go. I know.
How's it going?
Yeah,
no, I'm already going off on shit.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I just want to add while you're on pause, it's not even so much that he's not going to be in new episodes. You also got to think.
I haven't even gotten to that point yet, actually. I mean, I've just been talking about the expansive, like, Simpsons.
Okay,
what the fuck is the word I'm looking for? Not mythology, but just like their stamp on time in general. I mean, like they, you know, like for longest running sitcom, longest running animation. Upstairs, so my internet is like I'm upstairs right now because you know, haven't figured out how to shut the hell up when they're awake.
Yeah,
there's son randomly because he has 2 volumes. It's his volumes are asleep and loud as fuck. Those are his 2 volumes. Like when I was in the hospital recently, like for 3 days, and they would come visit me, and just the whole time it's just my wife like being like, just calm down, use your inside voice. And he'd be like literally sitting right next to her, like looking at her in the face, and when he'd say something and he would be like shouting it. Like,
yeah,
there's other people here, dude. Like I got
yeah.
You know,
we all know someone like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like my godmother is that person.
He's gonna be, I feel, more like volatile than me when he's older. God help him if he figures out drinking. A poor guy, like, I don't know, like, because I mean, anybody that's seen me, and like, this is a very last minute thing, and it's probably going to be me and Mike through the whole thing too. I don't know if anybody else is going to have a chance to join. But
I'm not sure who said that they were going to be in 30
yeah,
minutes.
I know Tim said he wasn't going to have a chance. Eric said he might be able to, but it'd be a little while, like 30 minutes or so. I'm not sure how long I'm even going to have, to be honest. But yeah, it's just a very last minute thing. We were talking about it in our group chat, and you know, we had talked about it recently, and then Michael, I think you were the one that just brought it up, like like literally a few minutes ago, right?
Yeah, I was reading an article about how they're gonna write them out, and they're trying to get feedback on how to approach it. I guess I barely read the article. I was kind of in the middle of something, half read it as I said in the chat.
I'll be honest. I literally like skimmed through it, and like I got through like the first like 3 sentences, and I'm gonna like punch a hole in the wall. I'm like, all right, I need to like go scream at a computer screen for a little while because I'm just so fucking pissed. This is like one of the things I was trying to establish at the beginning of the stream is when it was just me. Was like I have been a diehard Simpsons fan for a long time. Something Jason, my brother, who is the co-founder of Sarcasm Liberty, can attest to. Like, do not play me in the Simpsons Scene It game. I will crush you. Like, I am like, okay, if you ever played any of the CNET games where like they usually have like a DVD and you put it in and then there's the board and everything and there's all the stuff that comes up on the screen. But typically when you get an answer right, you get to go again. And my family actually put a handicap on me where even if I got an answer right, me only, I couldn't go again. I could only answer one time and that was it. And
Oh.
it just went on. I got to like go, full and like, if they got an answer right, they got another turn. But it didn't matter because like, it would be like, guess which character this is? And then the DVD starts and like 2 lines come in and I'm like, Chief Wiggum. Everybody's like, how the fuck do you know that? I'm like, knows? I don't know. How, like, I don't know how I know that.
We have the
Ben's here.
Hey,
Ben,
guys.
I'm not sure if he can be in here. He might be too much of a French stereotype.
Yeah.
No,
this is great because we're talking about stereotypes and Ben's French. No, I'm just kidding. No, Ben is into the Sarcasm and Liberty family. So it's actually been great to have him. He's provided us like right from the start. Like his very first meme was just brilliant.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, and like he's been a great part of it. It's been a pleasure to have him on board. So I do apologize, Ben, that this is your first live stream you're on because like I swear to God, I am just out of my fucking mind right now.
Don't worry about it.
And like just go back and like just ask Amos or Mike and be like, how bad is Josh when he's on a rant? Like,
I mean,
I will just take
this one's understandable though, isn't it?
Go ahead.
I was just saying, like, it's understandable that you're mad, and I think everybody has a right to be mad. It's just here in France, well, not here in France because I'm currently in the UK, but in France, people are going to be really confused when they're not going to see Apu anymore because
real quick, that makes it worse. No, I'm kidding. No, go ahead.
True. Just people are going to be really confused in France because they're going to stop seeing Apu and they're not going to understand why because they just don't, they don't care about these sort of stereotypes. They know that it's okay. I mean, it's a cartoon.
Yeah, this is something I want to add, like, because this is why it's great to have you on, Ben, because you can provide a different perspective that, like me and Michael can't. Is in Europe, like when people are watching stuff like The Simpsons, is that something people actually find offensive?
No,
or like get concerned about?
Just like we don't care about Cletus having 25 kids, or just like we don't care Chief Wiggum being a fat cop eating,
or like literally he's a pig. His nose,
literally, like and even whenever they do like fantasy episodes, and he's always the pig. Like,
no. Like they did there was this one. It was it was in the like 3 and 10. I don't know which fucking one. Like they used to do these like weird Brady Bunch shows like way back in the day where they would do these like it'd be like a variety thing, and they would like come on stage, and then they would show all these other things going on, and it was supposed to be like this attempt to make fun of that. And so they had like the Simpsons character. It was like this really like meta thing. Like the Simpsons characters were coming on stage and doing this variety hour thing. But like the little sketches they were showing, random character and the different shit. Fuck, I'm gonna have to, because there's like 2 people watching right now because this is in the middle of the day and who the fuck has time for me right now? But no, like it was like Chief Wiggum and it was somebody else, and for the life of me I can't remember. And I want to say it was Skinner, Principal Skinner, and I might be like completely wrong. It's been a while since I watched that episode, but part of the whole, like, they did this whole intro thing, and part of the thing is like he was supposed to be like a private eye, it was Chief Wiggum, private eye, and then his son Ralph. And like part of the intro, his son Ralph writes G. His whole like door thing. It's like Chief, like like Wiggum, PI, and then his son writes pig, like G, so it's his pig. And I'm like, They couldn't be more obvious with how, like, just over the top they were trying to be with these stereotypes. Like, that was supposed to be the joke.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what just drives me fucking crazy, is like the whole joke was, yes, it is a stereotype. It isn't true. Indian Americans aren't like that. Have you ever gone to a gas station? Okay, like, I will be honest. Like, out of the, like, 50 fucking gas stations in the city I live, like, out of the 10 that I actually go to, like, yeah, I would say 9 out of those 10 are run by Indian Americans. That's not a stereotype. That's real. I don't know what the reason is. I'm sure there's actually some legitimate reason for that, but there are a lot of Indian Americans that run convenience stores.
But even
know what the best part about the whole poo stereotype was? And there was one episode. The whole thing was, like, he worked at the Quickie Mart, like, pretty much 24/7 and, like, never got a break. So there was an episode where he left the store for, like, 20 minutes to go party with Sanjay or whatever his friend was.
Yeah, Sanjay. Yeah, that was his brother or something.
He literally closed the thing for, like, 20 minutes, and he's like, okay, no time to waste. And, like, he just, like, pounds a bunch of booze, like, goes into a shed with, like, 3 women, like, smokes a cigarette, like, okay, same time next year?
Yep. That was supposed to be the joke. Like it was actually funny because, like, in a way, they were actually kind of honoring the work ethic of these people, that they were so dedicated to what they wanted to do and what they came to this country to do, that they were willing to give up, like, family time and, like, actually having families or spending time with their families to focus on this business that they wanted to venture into.
And then the joke became he didn't even want to go home because he had, like, 8 or 16 kids. Or
yeah, he had octuplets. Yeah, I think it was 8 because, like, I always remember. I think it was 8, and like I said,
it was 8.
You know, out of the 4 of you that are watching now, like, I always remember that episode, and it was definitely past the Hallmark season 10 thing that most people say is, like, where this show died.
No,
I don't agree with that. I say, like, the golden years. The golden years are seasons 3 to 10 for me. Funny Libertarian has disagreed with me on that. He's actually shortened that quite a bit. I don't agree with him, but, you know, hey, for me, the golden years are the entire fucking series because I'm like, it's amazing. It is ridiculous how long this thing has gone on. But, like, that's also the thing is, like, The Simpsons was a product of its time. You know, it was like, when The Simpsons started, it was Bush Sr. in office.
Oh, yeah.
Bush Sr. There are episodes where they poke fun at Bush being president. Like, think about that. You know, and like, you know, Ben, don't worry about it because you don't know about American politics.
and
I tried to.
I'm gonna fuck with you because I love you, man.
It's all right.
No, like, Ben takes it in good humor. He actually, like, I wouldn't have ever said anything if he wasn't the first one to say, like, yeah, I'm French. Like,
yeah, honestly, it's, you know, you can definitely mock me for that. It's understandable.
Yes,
I completely get it.
Yes, and that's actually one of the reasons I love. Like, I'm gonna love having you on any of these streams. I know the time zones aren't only gonna work up, but I'm gonna love having you on these streams. Having a European perspective on all these kind of points is gonna be so fucking amazing.
Well, I wanted to come back to what you said earlier. It was
go for it.
You could almost make the argument that every character is a stereotype when you think about it.
No, that's what it said
Absolutely.
in the chat. I don't know if you saw it in the chat because I've said that multiple times. Like, I was in the hospital bed too. I remember this vaguely because that whole fucking 3 days is like a fucking, like, fog for me because, like, I was literally oxygen deprived in my brain to the point that, like, they actually said like I wasn't getting enough oxygen to my brain thing going on. So, like, I remember being.
Here's a big one, right? That probably not a lot of people think about. Krusty is Jewish, and what's the whole nature of Krusty? He's basically a venture capitalist entertainer that will do anything for a quick buck. So he's basically a greedy Jew.
Well, yeah. Just like
sorry, that one like just popped into my head when we're
because that's when I was in the hospital. I remember because like we talked about this briefly, and like I couldn't go into as much depth because like I was actually like literally having I had a hard time. Like I remember Mike, God bless him, that runs the Wednesday streams, was trying to make sense of the nonsense I was trying to like tweet to the chat because I was like, I'm in the hospital, blah blah blah. And he was like, what does I'm 9 mean? And I'm like, that's a typo, I guess. I don't know where I'm at. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, I was like super fucked up. But I remember I was so fucking enraged because I'm like, every fucking character on The Simpsons is an excessive stereotype. You can't even get outside the main 5. Yeah, 5. God, yeah. I can't count. I'm like fucking wasted, guys.
I mean, basically anyone.
You can't get outside the 5 main characters without leaving a stereotype. And I'm going to go through them real quick. And you have Homer, which is the stereotypical lazy, kind of more of an observant than involved husband that is just like an idiot. Yeah, he's like this stereotypical moronic husband.
The one who won't take
and that's what like I fucking loved that as a kid because I thought it was hilarious. It's like, yeah, my dad and my dad would joke. Like my dad did it for a long time. And this is actually like, to touch on, and I'm sorry, like I'm gonna rant, guys. This is gonna happen. To touch on what I was saying at the beginning, like Simpsons has been a big part of my life since I was a really little kid. I remember we lived in a small house growing up. There was four kids for the longest time. I had 4 brothers total, but for the majority of my younger years, I only had 3 brothers. But I do remember my 2 oldest brothers watching The Simpsons, and they wouldn't let me be in the room because I don't know, maybe they thought I would tell on them or something. But I do remember going outside and like I couldn't even hear what was going on. I would just watch through the window the Simpsons episodes. That was my first experience, just watching the animation and like kind of absorbing that. I couldn't even hear what the fuck was going on. And I started watching that, and I even got my parents into the show after a while. And like my parents were like these like, because and Jason will tell you, like I said, the co-founder of Sarcasm Liberty, my oldest brother. I do remember he went to Arizona. He came to visit us, and like growing up, my parents were just crazy strict, like super hardcore conservative, religious. But like after he left, they lightened up so much, like so much. I was going to this this buffet thing, and we were all like chatting, and then my dad was like, "Oh, hey, Josh, what was that one thing we were watching with this thing that happened? Simpsons. It was this episode. It was the one where worst day possible and like everything that could possibly bad happen. Good Lord, I can't even use sentences. Everything that could possibly happen to him, like negatively, happens." And like the best day ever because he falls into the lap of the mob and he just somehow is able to create like the best fucking cocktails ever. So they enlist him as their barman. But yeah, my dad watched that. Like my dad, who, as far as I know, has never drank any sort of alcohol, watched that whole episode that the entire premise was around this tiny child mixing drinks for these older men. And this like this mob, so he was like referencing that episode. It was like, "Oh, what was that show we were watching? Like that was really funny." I was like, "Oh yeah, that one." And I didn't think anything of it, because at that point I had become more accustomed to how they had changed, but he hadn't. Jason, my brother, hadn't. So I get up, take my plate, and I go to like the buffet to get some more food. And then I know, like, he kind of hurriedly like picks up his plate and goes and follows me. And he was like, "Is he talking about The Simpsons?" I was like, "Yeah, The Simpsons. We were watching The Simpsons together." He's like, "What happened to them? What changed so much? Like we had to secretly watch that behind closed doors." with the volume down, so they didn't know we were watching The Simpsons. You know, it was this like taboo thing growing up, and like honestly, you know, growing up for me, I think that's what attracted to me like so much to The Simpsons. It was this taboo thing, but I always enjoyed it so much because like even as a kid, just being like more growing up, I was way more conservative growing up, way more conservative growing up. I've touched on that in previous streams too, and I hope that's not a shock to the five of you that are watching.
I can relate on the whole taboo thing. Like my
yeah.
Okay,
Michael. First you, real quick, Michael. First you,
okay.
and then Benjamin. I'm going to assume the both of you have watched Simpsons. Benjamin, if you haven't,
yeah, I
fuck off. No, I'm just kidding. No.
Oh fuck. Okay, my time.
If you have watched The Simpsons, the two of you here, and Michael, I know you have, so I'm gonna obviously turn it over to you in a sec. But give me your like introduction from your childhood, how you first came into this culture of The Simpsons. Like, it's been, like I said, it goes back so far into American history. It's insane. I think it's over 30 years at this point. I think.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like it started probably when I was born. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to finish what I was about to say before I get into my discovery of The Simpsons about, you know, well, my family wasn't really conservative like that, but, you know, as a young child, like, my mom, like, filtered some of the things I watched on TV, and the two big things I remember were Ren and Stimpy and Beavis and Butthead.
Yes.
And it just made me want to watch it.
And I would say
more.
those are two things I actually didn't discover until later on in life.
Awesome shows.
Yes, no, great shows, great shows,
before
but I didn't have any.
Before I get into an hour of that, yeah, like the thing about The Simpsons was it was on usually pretty late, so my family was like a big sports family, so we'd always be watching like some sort of game at the time. So it took me a while to really discover The Simpsons, and I think by the time I really discovered it, there was really no taboo to it. But you know, instantly loved it. Still watch it to this day. If it's on, I'll put it on. Sometimes I'll go on to the old on-demand episodes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll keep that part short so we can move along.
No, that's fine. Ben, like for you, I don't know like how much you actually watched The Simpsons.
I watched so much Simpsons. It was literally like the first show I ever properly watched.
Okay. Awesome. So like what was your introduction to them? Like how old were you? Like roughly? Like for me, I was like 7, 8.
I'd say I was about
like how old were you?
Yeah, I think it was probably about a year younger than that actually. I was about 6. Yeah, okay. 6 or 7. I remember them being
and then for you, was it like a taboo thing growing up?
It was, because I remember my parents, they walked in on us because I was with my older sister. I've got an older sister and a younger brother. I was watching it with my older sister, and the intros just come in, and, you know, The Simpsons, and so the whole thing's gone on, and then Mum comes in, and Homer and Marge are banging or whatever, or there's innuendo, and Mum says, oh, this is really very adult. And then we started watching it, and then even Mum was into it. So, oh, it's not, you know, it's like it's adult, but it's hidden so that the kids can enjoy it as well, which I think is also why it worked so well. Because
real quick, I want to interject something. Do you want to know how old my daughter was when I first introduced her to The Simpsons?
Go for it.
Fucking newborn. Like I watched that shit religiously. Like. She's grown up with that. She before she understood what the actual title of the show was, she would refer to it as the Yellow People show. And she was like, "Let's watch the Yellow People." I'm like, "Okay, I'm not going to argue with you. Like, you want to watch something I want to watch? I can sit back and watch Simpsons all day." You know, like she's grown up with that already. Like,
yeah, and
her whole entire life.
I never stopped watching it. I was always watching it, and it was usually on. So we had Channel 4. That was on. It was about on for 2 hours every night, and then we had it on Channel 6, and that was on for like there were like 8 episodes in a row. So just watch all of them. So I watched. How many seasons are there now? Like 30.
They're past 30, I think. Yeah. I haven't kept track. I do remember they're like after 20 seasons we're going to end it, and then the 20th season came out, and they made this huge deal of it, and then they went to the 21st season. And I'm like, well, that was bullshit. And then they just kept going and kept going. And like, I haven't watched like the past several seasons. Like, I'm more of an expert on like the 1 to 15 range.
Yeah, I'm probably after those. I think I'm the one. I watched a lot of the ones after. But it's what you were saying earlier. It started when Bush Senior was in office. But then it shows how much comedy and how much people have changed.
No, that's the beauty of it. Is they like I said, it's a product of its time. It was during an age when it was okay to be stereotypical in comedy. Like it wasn't this like offensive thing, and people didn't get uppity about it. It was okay to be like that. It was okay to be like exaggerated, stereotypical, because like and here's the thing: from the start, The Simpsons is that like actually always been more of a left-leaning show. They poke fun at the Republican Party and the right so much, and they would be willing to be self-deprecating. Like one of my favorite moments growing up was when it was a Sideshow Bob, and like he ran for mayor and actually became mayor, and he had like rigged the election, and then the kids tricked him into like admitting that he rigged the election. So they start hauling him away, and I was like, he's like, soon you'll vote a Democrat into office, and I'll be free again. You know, like that was the whole joke. It was because Democrats like just don't fucking care about. They're just like, yeah, prisoners, no big deal. That was supposed to be the joke, and I was like, it's fine. It's okay to be self-deprecating. These people obviously lean towards the left, but they are willing to be like, yeah, we have some faults.
Yeah, of course, and then you get self-deprecation, which is so good because it's, you're taking the piss out of yourself, and then nobody else can do it for you.
Mm-hmm. The non-language police, lefties, can be great.
I think the best political joke on The Simpsons was there was an episode where Lisa had a friend, and her friend ended up being a conservative, and she's like a super liberal, and Marge told her, it was a phase.
That was the whole joke of the episode. Like, it's okay.
Yeah, but sorry, I was kind of like distracted by that. I think Eric's eating chips or something. But then, like,
sorry, I've got an ice bag on my hand.
Like, my mom said that you were just in a phase. Like, my mom said you were in a phase. Like, no, conservatives don't go through phases. They just get further through Atlas Shrugged.
Yeah, real quiet. Yeah, I'm not sure if everybody else could hear you. Like, it cut out for me, Michael. You want to say that again?
Josh, it's you cutting out.
Nope.
And he's gone.
He's gone.
Yeah, I was gonna say Josh has been cutting out a lot.
Yeah, sorry about all the noise. I've got an ice bag on my hand.
The whole joke was that
he's back.
The conservatives don't go through phases because Atlas Shrugged is that long of a book that it takes them that long to finish it and affirm their conservative values, I guess.
Yeah, but that's the point. When Simpsons came out, I was quite young, but I couldn't really tell those any political leaning.
December 17th, 1989.
Loading things on me.
He's back.
Oh, yeah, that was probably my fault. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, I went into this whole thing. No, Eric, are you here? Can you hear? Everybody can hear me?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, I'm sorry. Like, I'm cutting out because the internet is shit up here.
No worries.
Eric, like, both Michael and Ben have gone into this, and I went into my whole like fucking tirade about it. For you personally, like, The Simpsons, like, what was about the age range you were when you first were introduced to it, and what was the circumstances? What was the fascination for you?
So I don't know that I've ever actually watched an entire episode of The Simpsons.
Okay.
Ever. But my feeling about The Simpsons is quite simply, I understand that people feel about The Simpsons the way I feel about South Park. And then Josh goes on this whole rant about when was his daughter introduced to The Simpsons? Well, like, as a newborn. Like, my kid bounces along to the South Park theme song because she knows the tune. So she's, like, not even a year old yet, and she's, like, bouncing up and down in beat with the rhythm when I put an episode of South Park on. And my wife just now has had a problem where she's like, all right, the fact that she knows the song is like we're watching too much South Park around the baby. That's too much. So like, yeah, go ahead.
Real quick, I completely disconnected for a second. I really hope everybody else is able to hear that. Can you give me like a?
Yeah. So I feel about South Park the way most people who like The Simpsons feel about The Simpsons, because so when I was a kid, I wasn't allowed to watch The Simpsons. I'm like young enough that my parents didn't let me watch it, and so like it just never became a thing for me. But as I got older, like my mother-in-law likes South Park, and it's really funny because she's like a super conservative Christian. Like you would never think she'd like South Park, and she thinks it's the funniest thing ever. So, which is great. And so, like you were talking about, like, oh, when did my daughter like learn about The Simpsons? Well, like when she was a baby. Well, my daughter's the same way. Like, I broke my hand a couple months ago, and I've been at home basically for 3 months, and so like the wife works nights, and I've got the baby during the day, so we watched a lot of South Park, and like the baby knows the theme song and bounces a little bit to it because she kind of knows the rhythm, and yeah. So my general, I like South Park. I've never watched The Simpsons, but it's the same. The premise is the same, right?
No, I think it's interesting you bring up South Park because someone from the chat actually brought it up. It was Matt J from the chat was jokingly said, you know, Apu can move to South Park. They don't care about being politically correct. You know, I'm like, that's the best thing about Trey and Matt is they're like, it's all okay or none of it's okay. They have a very strict line. Either you can make fun of everything, and as soon as you start putting restrictions on, nothing is okay to make fun of.
Well, and they've fought for that tooth and nail.
Yes.
For 22 years. Whereas, like, you know, and I think Matt Groening or whatever his name is, the creator of The Simpsons, probably would.
Oh hell no.
No, I think he would have fought that fight, but he's not involved anymore directly.
No, I was like maybe in his early days, as the show goes on, he becomes less and less.
He's got to be old now.
Well, and he's not the showrunner. I think he's a producer, but like he's not the showrunner. So
for a long time, and for a long time, it would be like they would basically like run final episodes by him, and then he'd be like, "Yeah, that's good." You know, like that would be his whole job. You know, be like, yeah, it's fine. Or maybe change this or this, you know, and then be like, oh, okay. And then they go back and change this, you know, whatever, you know, like he didn't really have a whole lot of involvement after a while. And like, that's the thing when you create a show and you get all of these great talents working on it. And as seasons go on, you get different showrunners, you get different writers, you get different producers, you know, get different directors. The show will start to, you know, evolve and change into something else, and that can either be a good thing or a horrible thing. And I think any fucking sitcom that goes on past like 3 seasons is a great example of that. Like just name one and you can see how it evolves as it goes on, you know. It's not hard to do.
Hey, real quick on the whole you can move the South Park thing. Here's an even better idea, because Matt Groening actually does do this show. Have Apu freeze himself because he has nothing going on. He lost his job and everything. Had to leave Springfield.
Send him to Futurama.
Exactly.
That's what. Yeah. I actually said I was like, as soon as this becomes official, like they officially write Apu out, this entire scenario is going to be spoofed on an episode of South Park. There's no doubt in my mind. They're going to be so fucking annoyed because The Simpsons obviously were a huge inspiration for those guys to do what they did.
And they've done 4 episodes of some level of mocking and or paying homage to The Simpsons.
Yeah,
so and it's always been fun. Butters, where it was The Simpsons did it because Butters is trying to take over the world, and it's like, The Simpsons did that, and The Simpsons did this, and The Simpsons. It's like, God damn it, The Simpsons have done everything.
And they've said in commentary, like that was them expressing their frustration. Like they wrote the first episode, and like for those that don't know, like South Park literally runs week to week because the animation is so simple.
That documentary is so amazing.
They can write and adapt their script within a whole week, so they can literally like at the last minute put in a final product. You can't do that. You can't do that with other shows. So they actually part of that, like the Simpsons did it thing, the first whole plot, this whole like Simpsons did it thing, and then they started writing the second episode, and their entire whole plot for the second episode was something the Simpsons already did, and they were so fucking pissed off at that. They were like, "God damn it! Like we cannot come up with something that the Simpsons didn't already do."
Right.
And then they just decided, like, oh, well, let's just do that, and then just be self-referential, like, oh yeah, the Simpsons did that too. Like, it's really hard to come up with an idea that a long-lasting TV show has, because I think it's I don't know. I think it might have been Stan on the show that was like, Simpsons have been on air forever. They've done everything. Like, of course, everything you're going to do is going to sound derivative. Like, it's ridiculous to assume everything you're going to come up with is original. It's
well, especially when you're talking about
and also the thing about the Simpsons is they're not even exactly original, and this is actually one of the better things about the Simpsons, which I don't think a lot of people know, is the creators are like really like old literature heads. So like, they'll take like a lot of like old literature influences and stuff and make them into stories that no one.
No, that shows, and especially in the early seasons, it shows a lot. Like there's if you're more familiar with like older literature, and especially like really old TV, it shows so much in the first few seasons. It's like they are like that's the thing, is like these people grew up on this stuff, so they started like adapting it, making fun of it, poking fun at it, having fun with the idea of it. And I think that, like, to kind of bring it all around is like when they started creating a character like Apu, the entire idea was like, hey, there a lot of gas stations are run by Indian Americans, so why don't we make fun of that and create this character that's like this ridiculous, exaggerated stereotype that is what every fucking character on the show is. You can't point to a character on that show that isn't some ridiculous, overly exaggerated stereotype that was supposed to be the joke. Is that no, they are not like this. This is not how every fucking Indian person in America is. That's the joke. It's a stereotype. It's an exaggeration. It's poking fun.
And you know what? Honestly, like anyone in the chat or anyone that watches it in the future that can get back to us on that, if they are in an area where within 20-mile radius there is no Indian or Arab running some kind of convenience store, please let us know. Please let us know.
I was just gonna say, I mean, just their names, Apu and Manjula. I mean, the mum's called, like, his wife's called Manjula.
No, okay, like,
it's like, it's a stereotype.
Yeah, so I've got a bunch of Indian friends.
Manjula, yeah.
I've got a bunch of Indian friends who do Apu as a joke. Like, if they're being like, if they're making fun of their Indian parents, or they're making fun of like other Indians, they do Apu. That's who they do. Like, they're not doing their mom. They do Apu as their mom. It's hilarious.
Yeah. No, like, I went into the fucking military, and they made fun of the military all the time, and I never took offense to that, Like, I always found that hilarious, because it was all these, like, overly exaggerated stereotypes of how military guys are. And, like, they even, in one episode, and I fucking loved it, because it was just this one off joke, because it was like sign in the background, of it was the fucking post I was, and it was like all these like the joke was supposed to be that like oh, Springfield base is closing, so all these whores are moving to Fort Bragg, and that was the joke. And I was like, yeah, that's fucking funny, because there's a lot of whores here.
That's
like there's a lot of whores in North Carolina. I'm sorry if you're a whore, but fix yourself.
And on a racial line, like I'm Italian, and it's like they got two notable Italian characters as far as I know. One's a mobster, and one's a pizza maker.
Yeah, and the mobsters, what the fuck is it?
Talking
Joe,
Scotch Irish crowd. Willie takes care of the golf course. Jesus, could you get any more stereotypical? But no, Willie's white, so who cares?
Yeah, that's my whole joke, is that it's not how these people are. It's exaggeration of reality. That was supposed to. So for people to come in later and say, well, that's offensive now, and be like, no, it's not. The whole point of the stereotype to exaggerate it and be like, this is really are. Every fucking suburban dad is a complete goddamn moron. Every stays at home all day long. Not every 9-year-old kid is a rebel. Like, boy is a rebel. Not every little girl is a genius. Not every baby is just what the fuck. Maggie's stereotype is she doesn't talk. I don't know.
Baby genius.
Maggie is the one non-stereotype. She's a badass.
Yeah, like it's just, but it's ridiculous. It's like the whole joke is that every character is a stereotype of some kind. Come in and we can start saying, well, this offends them, this character, and I'm like, the whole show falls apart then. I'm like, literally, like, and like, I haven't watched it in a while, and I plan on catching up at some point, but literally, like, the moment they write a poo off, and they will have to write him off, I will never watch past that, because like the entire concept of the show falls apart after that. The entire, like,
well, you bent the knee.
Yeah, the entire point of the show was that everything is a ridiculous, exaggerated, hilarious stereotype. This is not reality. This is a cartoon. These are not how these people are in real life. We're making fun of the stereotype.
Hey, Josh, your connection's really
like
horrible.
We don't even air it anymore now. The whole episode where Homer was like super freaked out because he thinks Bart is gonna like be gay, and he's like, and everything he does, and he starts having this rave suddenly, and then like he tries to like see more systems down, like Bart is gay, you know, like tries to take him to a steel mill.
Hey, Josh.
Everybody in the cigarette ad with this like sexy woman just makes some stores.
Hey, Josh, you're not coming in at all.
Like, all right, let's go.
Oh, you're like really coming in at all.
Josh, can you hear us?
Yeah, my internet's going crazy.
Yeah, we missed everything you just said, man.
Yeah, it was like 2 minutes of like that. Like it was like spots and spots.
Yeah, I think it's out now. Just to give like one final thought, I want to say, Matt and Trey from It's All Okay or None of It's Okay. Once you start drawing line, falls apart. You cannot pick and choose what is and isn't okay to make fun of. Or you should have the authority to do that. Anybody I have the authority is just thing up, for everybody. It's ruining everybody's enjoyment. Like the Simpsons couldn't have made it today. I look at some like modern stuff like Epic Bill Burr show. Like, God, there's so much concern in that show. It's insane, and it's just this Bill Burr's kids, like, and his wife for like 20 minutes at a time. It's amazing, but even you couldn't air that on like TV today. People would freak the fuck out. But it's on Netflix, so you can do it, but you can't draw these kinds of lines. You just can't do it. You cannot draw these lines and say this is not okay. Go ahead.
That's my major hope about South Park is Matt and Trey still own it, and they've got a big enough following that they could just move online whenever they felt like it. Like for the longest time, even though Cartoon Network technically was like hosting it, they had all of their episodes on their website. Now they've got to deal with Hulu currently, but they still own they own the show. So anytime they want to switch back to running it off their own website, they can. So as long as they want to keep doing it.
I mean, if
Comedy Central drew that line for them,
they tell them
Netflix would pick them. They one of my favorite things. Be stupid on some things, but one of my favorite. Bill Burr says, writing for the show, F is for family, and then he got back the network notes, and he was off. It's like, okay, what are they going to say? And the only note was like, push it more offensive, like it's not TV, it's internet.
It's good to know that they can use that.
We don't fucking care how ridiculous you are. Netflix would pick them up on a heartbeat. And that's I would say, like, just for closing thought, I feel like the way the city is moving in a certain way is very, like, I don't want to use the word problematic, but it is very problematic. The direction, like, this, not even society, the vocal minority of people that screech the loudest and get the most attention from. All
right, we didn't get like the last 3 minutes of that.
Just again, for like one last thought, just
all right.
Oh, damn.
Well, yeah, and also the thing is, like, if you really think about it, South Park, everyone left. Are we still alive?
Just us two.
Oh, okay. I didn't even see you still in there, Frenchie. And yeah, to keep this going, just because it's still going live. And the thing about it is, Netflix really was launched by South Park, because if you remember Netflix in its early years, it really didn't have much of anything. The one thing it did have was the entire South Park library. And everyone I knew, at least, basically, that's all they would watch on Netflix. You'd sit around your friend's house and put on Netflix, watch a bunch of South Park, and smoke a bunch of joints. that was the activity when we were like 20, 21 years old.
We were doing that younger, but yeah, no, I know what you mean. And South Park always went the extra step, the steps that the Simpsons never did. You can't really compare the two, but South Park was just completely, insane in everything they did.
The Simpsons were always meant to be more soft. They were like meant to appeal to the general public and kind of have more of that, like, that soft, like, hard messaging. Like, or South Park, they also do that soft messaging, but it's also like more in your face with, like, just being absurd about it.
Yeah.
And the thing that really worries me, not so much about Apu getting written off now, because, like, the newer episodes aren't as good as the older episodes, but when it comes on TV, like, on its regular lineup, like, are they gonna try and avoid, like, episodes that
where he appears
Apu?
in? Yeah, because
like,
he appears in
trying, like,
well, not most of them, but he's in a
they,
lot.
They might have it like in a grading system where it's like, because I think, like, basically, like, 99% of the episodes he makes a small appearance in one way or another. There may be like 50 episodes that feature him, like, as, like, a main part of that episode. So they might be like have it in grades where it's like there's very little Apu in here, there's no Apu in this episode, and, like, they try to, like, not show Apu as much as possible on TV. Which I think is the real travesty, because it will just mess with the flow of just what they can show you. I mean, there's not really a flow; it's kind of random when it comes on TV. But
and also everybody knows Apu's catchphrase, like "Please come again." It's like can't just write out, and he's helped so much with, like, he's quite an important character when you think about it. They do a lot of. I remember, like, the Valentine's episode where he's always, like, outdoing the rest of the guys in the town. That was a great episode, and if you just cut him out, it's like he was never there. And I think that's I think that's more insulting to the Indian community to, like, not have. They won't be represented. Like,
and I don't know about you, but when a lot of ways, like, you kind of learn more about the culture from those TV shows, even though it's exaggerated. Like, the whole arranged marriage thing, like, that's still something that goes on in India. Like, that's not one of the things that has vanished with the times. It's a lot less frequent now, obviously, but in the higher class, like, that's still a thing.
Yeah.
And
no, yeah, definitely.
And it's like, when you talk about a stereotype, like, if it was like, he's more so a positive stereotype, because it's like, he's an immigrant, he comes in, he owns a business,
He works hard.
He works hard, provides for his family. It's like, what's wrong with that stereotype? Like, please tell me.
And it's not, and again, it's not just him. If we're gonna do that, then let's just stop. I'd honestly love to see the writing team write up a whole episode where none of the stereotypes fit. Like, every character is just like a regular person. Like, the B-man, like, that Mexican guy, like, he's just a regular entertainer. Krusty is just a clown. Wiggum is an actually good police officer. Homer's actually interested in his work, and everything else